Hey guys, and welcome to another GameXplain discussion. This time we're again joined by Tom Arnold, who's going to grill me on my recent 1-hour playtime with Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. And with that, take it away, Tom.
How much did you get to play at the recent Nintendo event?
I got to spend a full hour with the game.
Okay, did you start right from the beginning, or did they throw you in like
well, since I played the E3 demo, I got to skip ahead a couple of missions. Because the game starts, basically the level you played at E3, where you acquire the Poltergust 5000, I think it's called. Or no, Poltergeist? Oh, now I'm confused. Poltergust? The vacuum.
Yeah, the vacuum 5000.
Yeah, the mission in which you acquired that, as you probably guessed, is actually the first mission of the game. So they started me with the second mission in the first mansion.
So were you just playing in one mansion, or did you go to a few different mansions?
I got to try 2 different mansions. I got to try Gloomy Mansion and then Old Clockworks. And each mansion actually consists of several levels.
Several levels, so you're not just exploring a bigger and bigger mansion, they're actually kind of broken apart?
Yeah, so each mansion comes with like a few different levels. They wouldn't tell me if it's always the same amount of levels per mansion, or whether it changes depending on the mansion itself. But in the case of the first mansion, which was Gloomy Mansion, it seems there are 4 levels, and I played the second one. Yeah, I played the second and fourth ones.
Can you give an example of what a level has, like what kind of goal a level has?
Yeah, so each time you'll have a different ultimate goal, it seems. I'm trying to remember exactly what the goals were. It's leaving me at the moment. I don't remember exactly. But you'll do different things in each mission. Although you'll sometimes go through some of the same rooms, you'll end up going into all new areas too. And in one of them, you had to like find different gears stolen by some ghosts in order to put them back into this Metal Gears, in order to put them back into this machine that caused things to change in the mansion. That actually opened up an area in the next level that you could then explore. So that's how it works. Like a lot of areas, it seems like each mission kind of feeds into the next mission. Like you'll either find an item that'll help with the next mission, or unlock different areas that you'll explore in the next mission. And then those cameras we've seen throughout the mansion. Yeah. Those are actually the entry points for each mission. So EGAT has a machine called the Pixel Porter, I believe, and that actually transports Luigi to different parts of the mansion based on where those cameras are.
Oh, pretty cool. So when you're in a level, are there different doors that are locked to kind of prevent you from just wandering way off course?
Yeah, whether it's different doors or different areas. Like there's one part where there's a fish tank blocking the way, and you'll actually lower that in a previous mission that you can use to get to in the following mission. So,
okay, well, that's pretty neat seeing stuff that you did in the past affect the current levels.
Yeah, it's a different way of going about it. It basically feels like each mission. No, I can't even talk now.
Button mashing.
Each mansion feels like a condensed version of the one from Luigi's Mansion, except now, like it's just broken up into individual levels. Basically, it's a really different way of going about it, but it seems to work well.
Yeah, probably does it help the gameplay feel more focused?
It does. It's been a long time since I played Luigi's Mansion for the first time. But yeah. I do remember there being a couple times in that game where it wasn't always clear where to go, and this one definitely seems a little bit more focused, or it's a little bit more clear of where you should go, and especially because the game marks almost constantly where you should go next on the sub screen, on the lower screen, on the map, where it shows you which room you should your next objective is. Not always, but quite often it'll show you where you need to go.
Okay. What other features are used on the bottom screen of the 3DS?
That's basically it. It's mostly just a map, but you can zoom in and out on it. You can tap on rooms to see the room's name.
Yeah.
And it's also how you answer the dual scream, which is the new communication device you have with EGAT. So when he calls you, you actually tap on the lower screen, and the dual scream, as you might have guessed, is just the oldest is the old original form of the Nintendo DS.
Yeah.
Which is a callback to Luigi's Mansion, in which he used the Game Boy Color,
Yeah.
which is the Game Boy Horror in that game.
So wait, is it the DS Fat or the DS Lite?
It's a DS Fat. It's original DS.
God, how did we ever play that thing? Have you looked back at one of those?
I have, and you can still see like the harsh curves in Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. It's hilarious. It's like, wow, how come Luigi's even using that? Isn't he better than that?
Hold on, I need better lighting. In the latest trailer, we noticed they showed some of the story for once for the Dark Moon, what it actually is. How much of the story did you get to see during the gameplay session?
So, yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't able to see anything more than what we saw. The rep did elaborate a little bit. I mean, he clarified that the moon, the dark moon, is what keeps the spirits in check. Basically, it gives them like this calming effect. Okay. And with it destroyed, as you can see in the trailer, that's what causes them to go crazy. And then EGAD calls upon Luigi to get the ghost back into order.
I've seen in the latest trailers, there seems to be a lot more variety in terms of enemies in Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. How many different enemies did you come across in the latest gameplay demo?
I don't have an exact number, but
approximately like a handful.
Yeah,
a few.
No, I came across in between the two mansions I played. I came across a decent amount. There's several varieties of ghosts that I point out in our latest analysis. I came across like green ones, red ones, blue ones. They all act differently, and even within those color groups, you'll often find them in different situations. Like in one case, like one is decked out in like kitchen gear, and so you have to pull away that kitchen gear from him in order to get at him. Or actually, more accurately, there are green ghosts that wear sunglasses that protect them from the strobe effect of Luigi's flashlight, which is how you stun them. So you actually have to suck off their sunglasses first before you can strobe them to capture them. Beyond the ghost, or actually I saw a Boo too, which is hilarious in how you actually, when you suck him up, you actually grab him by his tongue. So like his tongue gets super long as you're trying to inhale him into your vacuum. And I saw spiders, small spiders, not the big one we saw in the trailer.
Yeah.
And I saw rats, and I'm sure there's a few other characters or a few other creatures I'm forgetting.
Okay, so nothing really big that wasn't a ghost.
Yeah, nothing super huge that wasn't a ghost yet that I can remember offhand.
Well, those sound already like some pretty clever things to put on the enemies to make it a bit harder for you. Do they ever sort of mix and match enemies together to create like sort of combinations that are hard to deal with? Like a guy that... Easy example is a guy that maybe has more melee attacks and a guy in the distance that throws something at you?
Yeah, well, quite often, it seems like it depends on which color group of ghosts you're going up against.
Yep.
But like, I believe it was the blue ones that would throw stuff at you quite often. And that's a good segue into a new move you have, which I discovered by accident. When you're sucking up a ghost, you can actually jump. So while you're like being dragged around, or if you're moving around, you need to do capture a ghost. You can actually jump around, and that's how you actually dodge projectiles, or one way to dodge projectiles.
Or how about when a ghost... I'm pretty sure it's happening. A ghost like pulls you into a table or something, or into a wall, and I forget if that happens if you lose. You lose the ghost if you hit something, right?
Yeah, I think that's the case. It's hard to remember offhand, but I think that might be the case.
Alright, well that's a pretty good mechanic, being able to jump finally. Can you jump only when you're vacuuming a ghost?
Yes, you can only jump while capturing a ghost, because the same button is used to run otherwise.
Okay. Now, in the latest video, the Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon actually seems more detailed than the original in terms of gameplay and like sort of sheer environments and enemies sort of types. Would you say this is the case overall, or is this just sort of a trailer lying to us?
Wait, are you talking just purely visually, or like variety in gameplay?
Variety in gameplay, and a bit visually, but mostly gameplay-wise.
Okay, yeah, gameplay-wise, it's definitely, like, I was surprised actually by how much is in there. Like, they're really expanding on the core concepts of Luigi's Mansion.
Mm-hmm.
So, now, first off, they fundamentally changed how the flashlight works. In the first one, you would turn off your flashlight and turn it back on to stun a ghost. This time you have to charge it. You have to charge it up, and then that increases its blast radius basically. And then when you stun a ghost, you can suck them up. Beyond that, though, you also have a new ability. Let me see if I can remember the name here. I think it's called the Dark Light. and that allows you to expose invisible things hidden by ghosts, or like these balls, or ghost balls, basically, for lack of a better word. The game might even call them that, though that might be a preliminary name.
Yeah.
But basically, these ghost balls cause certain objects to be invisible, and when you scan them with a dark light, which is that rainbow beam you've seen in the trailers, that makes them visible if you scan it long enough, and those ghost balls pop out. But then you have to suck up the ghost balls. Well, that sounds all kinds of wrong. In order to make the thing permanently visible. If you're not fast enough, then you have to shine it again. You have to flash it with your dark light again in order to expose the ghost balls again, to suck them up and try again and make it permanently visible. So there's a lot of puzzles in the game that depend on the thing being invisible, it seems. And that's also how you track boos. At least that's one specific boo I saw. Since he ran away from the room I was in, I used the dark light to expose the path he used through the mansion. So I had to follow him from room to room to find out where he went, which is really cool. And beyond all that, like, you know, there's a ton of variety in the puzzles, the enemy types. Like, it really seems they're going all out with this. They've definitely added a lot to the game, and I'm just eager to see what more there is, because there's a ton there.
Did you get to try any of the scenarios where it has a different camera angle, and maybe like you're walking over a little thin ledge over a chasm and you have to tilt the 3DS?
I didn't. I wasn't able to really see any of those. The closest I can think of is, you know, when you look through a hole in the wall, or things like that. You can peer into other rooms, either through windows or holes in the wall, and that goes to a first-person perspective, where you can then look around the room either with a control stick or by moving the 3DS itself. Beyond that, no, I didn't see anything terribly interesting in terms of different vantage points.
So Luigi pervert mode isn't terribly interesting to you.
Unfortunately, there's no more furniture humping in this game, which we said before, but that's still just as annoying, or just as disappointing.
Why would they take that out?
I know, especially coming from Next Level Games, who are all about, you know, the inappropriateness of Mario games, or at least Mario Strikers and Punch-Out. Yeah,
they certainly know how to push Nintendo's buttons to get that content in the game. So, Andre, how are the graphics looking in Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon? At first, the very first E3, they didn't look too polished, but they're looking a lot better this year. How are they now?
Yeah, I remember them being really stuttery at the first E3, and I think they improved that vastly to E3. So let me first say that when watching the trailers, I thought the graphics looked a little bit flat, you know, like almost, especially when I compared it, you know, head-to-head against the original Luigi's Mansion. But now that I actually got some hands-on time with it on the XL system, no less, I think it's a really good-looking game. It's bright, the sense of 3D is fantastic, it's really deep, which is really good. And yeah, the game just looks really sharp. I will say, like, the flashlight effects are better and worse in some ways compared to the original Luigi's Mansion. Yeah. As far as I can tell, there's no more... In the original Luigi's Mansion, you had all those particle effects floating around. Like, you could see actual, like, dust floating around. And you unfortunately can't see that at all anymore. But now they have some really good lighting effects. Like, you'll see, like, lens flare when you point at the camera. And it just looks really good. Overall, the game's really fluid. There were a couple times when I went outside and there was some slowdown and there's a lot of stuff happening. But that was restricted to a few areas, and it's still, you know, a few months from release, so that could be tightened up even further. But it seems like they definitely improved a lot from the first showing we saw, and I don't think there'll be any problems visually with the game.
That's good to hear. I know sometimes it looks like the textures look a bit plain when I see it at times, but the animations are looking really good so far. Have you seen many examples of the sort of Luigi being scared, for instance, in the new build that you hadn't seen before?
Well, you know, I can't say for sure I haven't seen them before, just because there's so many of them, I just can't keep track. But they did a fantastic job of capturing or making Luigi look like a complete scaredy cat. I was gonna say something worse there, but it's something else cat related. But no, like you walk into a room and Luigi's like constantly like almost shivering or walking with extreme caution or trepidation. Yeah. And like ghosts will appear and they'll scare him. Yeah, they just did a fantastic job of capturing the essence of Luigi.
All motion captured.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
By Charles Martinet. Okay, well that's about it for all my questions. Do you have any other things you'd like to bring up before we end it?
Yeah, I mean, just a little bit more. I guess I explored, the Clockwork Mansion, which is the or Old Clockworks, which is the first time it's been playable. I unfortunately didn't get to play much of it, but if you've seen our trailer analysis, basically anything with clock parts in it is taking place in that mansion. But yeah, I got to play around with the outside, and there was a puzzle involving a clock face. I can't talk about how I solved it because Nintendo wants you to have the satisfaction for yourself, even though I'm gonna totally blow all that out with a full V guide, of course. But I did play around a little bit inside the mansion. There's like a boo sequence in there where you need to track down another boo. And also I wanted to emphasize that puzzle solving was a big part of the original Luigi's Mansion, and it seems to be an even bigger part of this one. Where there's just puzzles all over the place. Not always super complex Zelda-style ones. But enough to keep you engaged in the gameplay. Or engaged in the environment, rather. And the ghosts help you keep engaged, with the gameplay. And, I'm just really excited for how this game's turning out. I was a little bit concerned at first with some of the changes, because you lose the dual analog controls.
Right.
But once I got used to what's there, it works super well. Charging the strobe light works great. There is one quirk with it, is that in order to aim up or down, you have to press the X or Y buttons, I believe, while using the vacuum. And that seemed a little bit weird. But, again, it's not that big of a deal. I'm just, sorry, what?
It's better than tilting the system to do that.
Yeah, and I think you can do that too, actually.
Oh.
I can't say for sure, but I do know it does factor in the gameplay a couple of times. But it does seem like the motion controls are mostly optional, if not entirely. Especially because, that kind of messes up the 3D if you move it around a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to the game. I love Luigi's Mansion, and granted, it's always hard to go off previews because I was looking forward to Paper Mario as well, and then we all know how that game turned out.
Don't break my heart on Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon.
I will say, I honestly can't see something similar happening with this. At this point, in my experience, this looks to be a better game than Paper Mario did at the same point, and it's next level games too. And it's impossible for them to make a game I don't like, I think. So
yeah, let's hope they don't try.
yeah, no kidding, right?
Quick question about the Clock Mansion. Was it sort of vertically based, sort of like Tick-Tock Clock Mario 64 in a way, or is it sort of spread out wide horizontally?
I unfortunately didn't get to play enough of it to say for sure. All I explored was the first level, but based on the outside, it seems like, there's multiple levels to it, as there seem to be for all the mansions. But it looks like verticality will play a part in it as well. So I can't say whether there's gonna be more of that than other levels, though.
Can you vacuum gears that are spinning and maybe take them from one place and put them to another in the level, or
maybe?
You didn't encounter any of that.
Yeah, I mean, I encountered gears in the first level, but not in that one. I mean, based on the trailer, it looks like there'll be definitely some gear manipulating, but I don't know whether you use a vacuum or whether you carry them around. Actually, you did remind me though, there was one puzzle, which I really can't talk about either, but it's a freaking puzzle. But it didn't involve moving these spools around, and you did that with a vacuum. You would basically suck it up with a vacuum and drop it somewhere else. So very similar things in the original Luigi's Mansion.
Right. Okay. Final closing thoughts now.
It looks really good. It's really funny. There are parts of the game that are really humorous. I can't remember offhand, but the script and dialogue is fantastic with EGAD. It's all good. I'm really looking forward to this game. I can't wait to play more of it, and I'm actually looking forward to doing the video guide for it, just because the more I play it, I'm just looking forward to playing more of this game.
Sweet. Alright, thanks Andre for your thoughts and impressions of Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon.